All right, guys, welcome back to Emlyn in the Mix, Season 2, Episode 5. Got a bit of a different setup. It was a little bit darker outside, so I've got the light here. I don't know, hopefully my face isn't too bright if you're watching live on the YouTube channel. Actually, what would be great is if you want to leave a comment, if you want to, get involved with the chat, you can do so right now. We've got the chats open, and we'll just get stuck straight into the podcast. Bit more of a eventful week compared to the week of last, and we're just going to get stuck straight into the news, and we're going to be featuring on today's podcast the UVI 8-bit synth. Actually, before I get into the podcast, and I normally do this at the end of the podcast, I wanted to just make a quick mention here because I don't know if all of you get to the end of the podcast, but I would really love a review on the podcast. If it's something you listen to on iTunes or Spotify, I would love a review there just to get that pumping. But the podcast's been doing really well. And I like to do it live here on the YouTube as well. Unfortunately, still haven't got the screen capturing and stuff going on. If you're watching this, I really need help with the streaming stuff, but we'll get it sorted out and we'll get this cranking along. All right, thank you so much again for joining me. Let's get stuck straight into what's been happening this week. First thing, obviously, have to mention the passing of the late Chick Corea. This was pretty big in the music industry. Music news wise, absolute jazz genius, Chick Corea. Essentially, he's gone, rest in peace. And actually, the reason I really wanted to mention him is not only was he like a jazz, and he was massive in the jazz scene, obviously, but in music technology and music in general, this man was a bit of a pioneer and inspiration for many musicians. And even though I'm primarily more of an electronic musician, his art and his music artistry has definitely had an effect upon even electronic musicians. He was actually delved into a lot of synthesis, and he had a massive synthesizer collection as well, but just a really inspirational musician who is going to inspire many musicians for many years to come. And I absolutely idolized him. I thought he was a brilliant musician, and I loved some of his work of late. Even he was doing, he was still creating music and still doing tours, even right up until last year before the pandemic. So big shout out, rest in peace to Chick Corea for the first bit of news here on the podcast. All right, cool. So let's move on to our next product. And this one looks really interesting. This comes from Impact Soundworks, and it's called, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, it's the Harpeggi or Harpeggi. I'm not sure how you pronounce this, but this instrument caught my eye. It's really amazing. I wish I could pop it up here on the YouTube video so you could see it. But essentially, you can perform expressive, versatile, and wholly unique sounds from the Harpeggi. This is a sampled version of the Harpeggi. Obviously, it's not the real deal. Impact Soundworks do some amazing sample instruments, so you definitely need to check this out. I'm going to play back some of the audio for you in a moment. But with this authentic and authorized virtual instrument, from fluid bass parts to rich polyphonic keyboard sounds, our modern Harpeggi captures the full range of clean tones from a 24-string Harpeggi. It's 24 strings, guys, and it sounds amazing. I'm gonna show you in a moment. The K24 gives you unparalleled tools to shape the sounds to your own taste. So I'm just going to play a little bit back for you now, just so you can hear how amazing this sound is. Essentially, because it's 24 strings, you can play bass and you can play the lead at the same time from this instrument. It's quite incredible. And it has a DI, so you can essentially hook it up to your effects or effects pedals if you have those, or even just plug it into your computer for processing. Let's have a quick listen to it here. I'm just going to have to cut it off before the talking in this video happens.
It's an electric?
Yeah, so as that guy was saying, it's an electric instrument, but it is a stringed instrument, but has electric output, so you can hook it up via your DI and that sort of thing. quite an amazing sound. I might just play back some of the samples here as well. This one's a Koji Kondo. Let's have a listen to this. Yeah, so you get the idea. Absolutely beautiful sounding instrument, and now it's been lovingly sampled by the guys at Soundworks. Big mention to Impact Soundworks, sorry. Big shout out to Impact Soundworks. They do a fantastic job on sampling instruments. If you haven't checked out their stuff before, you definitely need to. I got the Supercar Audio recently, which is all like Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, early PlayStation chips and modules actually sampled in this instrument, and they sound absolutely bonkers and amazing. So yeah, check out Impact Soundworks, the modern Harpeggi. It's a modern instrument. I've never seen it before, and that's why I wanted to mention it here on the podcast. I thought it was incredible. All right, let's move along to our next piece of news, and this one super excites me. Okay, so recently we've seen, again, and this has happened in the past, but we've seen a bit of an uprising in the sort of mobile workstation, I guess you could call it, little music production workstation. With first off, we had the Machine Plus making their debut at the end of last year, which is a standalone version of Machine, which has its own onboard computer and it has its own RAM, and then you can have all the samples and instruments and so forth inside, and you can place directly out of the box. And I actually ended up getting one of those and reviewing it. If you haven't checked that out, check out the videos here on the YouTube, and even on, if you're listening to the podcast, I've played some songs actually on the podcast, or made some songs, I should say, with the Machine Plus. A very inspirational, awesome piece of hardware. And then we had Roland just recently with NAMM, or Believe in Music Week, Believe in Music Week, which is kind of what it's now known as, releasing the Roland Verse Lab, which is a similar concept, slightly different though to Machine Plus, but a similar concept in that it is an all-in-one workstation where you can just sort of make your music. And I think the focus with the Verse Lab was more on vocal recording and sample recording, which looked really interesting and really cool. But now, guys, now we have a new entry, and this one excites me. I really like Novation's products. This is from Novation. It's called Circuit Tracks. And the thing I also really love about this, unlike Machine Plus, not 100% sure on Verse Lab, is you don't have to plug this into a wall. This is runs off a lithium-ion battery. So you literally, like your iPhone, you plug it into the wall, charge it up, and away you go. So introducing Circuit Tracks. My goodness, this thing looks incredible. I'm going to play a bit of a video here for some audio. Sorry, you're not going to be able to see the video. I'm going to play a bit of audio so we can have a listen to this device. But let's play the video back, and then I'll go over the technical specs on this thing because it's pretty impressive. All right, here we go. This is Circuit Tracks from Novation. All right, anyway, I'm not going to bore you too much with that little music demo, but all that music there that you heard was being created inside the Novation Circuit Tracks. So Circuit Tracks is the perfect tool for performers and creators alike, engineered to allow you to be totally flexible with your music making. Circuit Tracks is a fast and intuitive groove box capable of making mighty sounds that defy its diminutive properties. Proportions. Circuit Tracks is the perfect portable partner for producers on the go with compact, hard-wearing, and high-quality build and a built-in rechargeable battery, which I mentioned before. You can make the most out of its numerous features. Whatever inspiration strikes you, discover your sonic style. I feel like I'm reading an ad here, but essentially, this thing is amazing. So you've got two 5-DIN MIDI outs. You've got your audio in, audio out, of course, audio in for sampling. And I'm absolutely loving the look of this device. It's quite small. It's rechargeable. I like that you can just play it on the go. You can plug some headphones. You could literally be anywhere. You could be on the beach, anywhere you want to be, and Circuit Tracks will deliver the goods. Has obviously a step sequencer on board. Has everything you need to record music. And definitely check it out. That's Circuit Tracks. I'm sorry if you can't see what I'm showing here up on the screen, but absolutely love the look of this device. All right, cool. So now we're going to get on to our feature for the week. And this was actually just released this last week. It's the 8-bit synth from UVI. And I'm just going to play back some presets for you. This thing sounds really sampled really meticulously. Sounds really good. I've never used the UVI workstation. So if you don't know what the UVI workstation actually is, essentially it reminds me a little bit of like the Contact player, where you can load your sampled Contact instruments and you can add effects or add routing and route to different areas, like your sound, that is, sorry, and get different sort of sounds and that sort of thing, and layering and all of that. And the UVI workstation delivers on a similar sort of concept where you add the player, or you add, for example, we're looking at 8-bit synth here, so you have that in your player, and then you can sort of route it to your effects and so forth. Very intuitive. The only thing I haven't worked out is the GUI size is quite small, but I'm pretty sure I should be able to, hopefully I can expand and make it bigger. Anyway, let's get stuck into how it sounds, because that is what is more important. This is an incredible sounding soft synth, so I'm going to play back some of it here for you. All right, let's get stuck into it. Classic. Let's turn that, open up the filter. All right, so that's just one preset there, 8 beats. We'll go through a few here. Beautiful sounding presets though. Euro dissonning, filter wheel. I'll show you some of the pads, because the pads on this thing is just gorgeous. Let's have a look. How good is that? Multi-layered. It's really well done, guys. Definitely we'll have to do a feature of this on the YouTube channel. Yeah, the pads are outstanding. What else have we got here? Another pad. Go through a few more. I like the multi-layered pads. They just sound unbelievable. Jupiter Clouds, yeah, like this. See how it's got the multi-layer on it? Velocity sensitive as well. I mean, most synths are, but it really opens up when you give it a bit of a harder velocity here on the keys. See? It's really nice. And I might show you some of the animated. Let's have a listen to some of the animated step sequency type stuff. Here we go. Movie star. And modulation and so forth going on. Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna. Obviously, there's hundreds and hundreds of presets on here. I'm not going to go over every one, but just wanted to give you a quick taste of the UVI 8-bit synth. There it is. There, it sounds unbelievable. The quality is fantastic, and they've sampled over, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, all the different Game Boys, your Nintendos, your Sega Genesis, all that, similar to Super Audio Kart. But I really like the fact that it's in this UVI workstation, which again, I said at the start of this, I haven't used before. And it's just a very good environment to get your sound sounding really nice. The effects, onboard effects and modulation is really nice. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for sticking around. I know they're not looking the greatest, but we're going to get them looking amazing towards, I don't know, as soon as we can get it sorted out and streaming. And thanks for joining me on the podcast. I appreciate it every week. I know you guys love the content. Please, again, if you want to contact me, we have an email now. It's simply emlyninthemix@gmail.com. If you want to have your product featured, maybe you're a music software engineer and you're like, hey, how do I get this to Emlyn in the Mix? Follow that email. You can do that there. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it. And we'll see you on the flip side. Peace out. Boom.